Welcome to story time. Today at Nerd Mimic, we are going to read the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons storybook. This is The Force of Enchantment, and this came out in 1983. So this is 40 years old. This is the second storybook, the first one being The Treasure Time. Actually, I'm not sure which came out first, but they probably came out simultaneously. Either way, we did this one already. I'll put a link down below for this story time. But today we are going to read this one, The Force of Enchantment. I'm going to read this book to my 4-year-old little boy right now. Ready for story time?
Yes!
All right. So why don't you come over on this side of the camera so you can see the pictures. Okay. You know who this is?
Helmet?
That's right, it's Calmic. He was in the last story. And maybe this is Charme, and I'm not sure who this is. We'll find out. Okay. So here's the title page. So this is The Force of Enchantment. The story and artist team is different than the other book, but they are also from Marvel. And here we go. A soft breeze whispered through the tall trees, and birds trilled overhead. Caruso, the bard, made his way through the forest. He walked slowly, enjoying the beauty, the forest fragrances, and the peace and quiet. The forest is truly an enchanted place, he said to himself. But Caruso's pleasant thoughts were suddenly interrupted. The rustling of the trees was drowned out by rumbling of footsteps. The rumble became a roar. "Who dares to invade the peace of the forest?" the bard cried. He didn't have to wait long for an answer to his question. Turning toward the sound, his face frozen terror as he faced... Let's see what's going to happen. Lizardmen! An army of lizardmen! What evil magic is this? Caruso cried. He turned to run, but the hideous soldiers had surrounded him. They quickly moved in for the kill. Caruso carried no weapons this day, but he had his lute. Caruso's music has magic in it. When he plays, everything, even the enemy, stops to listen. Caruso raised the instrument to his shoulder and played. The music floated into the air, and the lizard men stopped to listen, entranced by Caruso's music. The charm worked, Caruso thought, but now I must flee the forest quickly. The spell will last only a minute, and this evil army will spring back to life and attack again. Caruso kept playing his flute as he quickly made his way through the forest and away from the lizardmen. He listened for footsteps, but the lizardmen did not follow. Is that pretty neat? Well, we'll find out. At the edge of the forest, Caruso found the beautiful druid Falari. "Caruso, you look like you've seen his ghost," Falari said. "Worse," Caruso cried, catching his breath. He told her of the army of lizardmen and their attack. "Who has summoned this monstrous army?" he asked her. "And what evil plans have they brought to the forest?" "I do not know," Falari told him, "but there is one who knows all that happens in this kingdom, both good and evil. I will go to him for answers to our questions." "Hide yourself, Caruso," she said. "I will return by nightfall." Falari used her magic and turned herself into an eagle and flew off into the sun. Her decision was a Thieves' Guild hall, where she knew she would find the good thief Figgin. Falari flew through the window and circled the great hall until she spotted Figgin. "I believe I've seen this beautiful eagle before," Figgin said with a wide grin creasing his wily face. "Change form, madam, that we may converse." Falari quickly returned to human form and sat close to Figgin. I have come because I know you have information I seek," she said. "Figgin, can you tell me why an army of lizardmen has invaded the forest?" "I can tell you why a caterpillar chooses one leaf and not the other," the thief replied. "For I know all that happens in the forest and outside it. The lizardmen were in hire of none other than Warduke." Warduke, cried Falari. And what evil plan has brought him to the forest? He's only interested in conquest and treasure. The Princess Mara crosses through the forest tomorrow morning, Figgin said. He whispered so the other thieves could not hear. She carries the ruby of the 7 suns. Warduke plans to kidnap the princess and take the ruby for himself. That's pretty evil, right, Ender? I knew you could answer my questions, Falari said happily. If I don't know it, it hasn't happened, the old thief boasted and turned back to his friends. Falari walked through the door. Wait, one more thing, Figgin called, following her outside. Calic, the evil sorcerer, has brought his dark magic to the forest. He, too, is in the employ of the Warduke. Warduke, with his army, and Calic, with his magic, that makes for powerful foes, Falari exclaimed, the worry showing on her beautiful face. The sun was setting behind the trees. Falari turned into a deer and leapt out into the forest. Running through the woods, her mind whirled with thoughts of Warduke, Calic, and their evil army and evil plans. They must be stopped. They must, she told herself. With a ruby of that value, Warduke could buy an army that no one could stop. He would soon rule the kingdom. Princess Mara and her precious ruby must pass through the forest safely. Caruso and I will see to that. Falari had no way of knowing that Caruso had his own problems at that moment. Hearing the rustle of the dried leaves on the forest floor, Caruso stepped out from behind the thick shrub where he had been hiding. Falari, he cried. He stared into the evil faces of Warduke and Calic. Oh no, they're right there. Ha ha! So this is the worm that has been crawling around the forest, Warduke cried, his face twisted in an evil sneer. I am sorry, Bard, but we have no choice but to stamp you out. Caruso raised his lute to his shoulder and began to play notes that would stop his foes. But the notes never came. The evil sorcerer Calic was too quick for Caruso. He cast a spell that froze Caruso to the spot. Caruso didn't move. He couldn't play his lute. He couldn't sing. He is helpless. Take him prisoner, Warduke commanded. Why not kill him, Calic argued. The effects of the spell will soon wear off. We have no time for prisoners. The princess comes through the forest at sunup. Did he hear him call out Falari? Warduke asked. He expects the druid. We will keep him alive to draw her to us. When she appears, we will kill them both. Caruso was gagged, and his arms and legs were bound. He was dragged to Warduke's camp. There, Foxfingers, yeah, that's right, that's where I am. There, Foxfingers, the evil thief, was ordered to guard him. And those are the lizardmen. You see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Later, the spell began to wear off. Where is Falari? Caruso thought. He struggled to work the gag down his mouth so he could sing out a spell. He kept his head low so Foxfingers couldn't see his efforts. Will they capture Falari too? Caruso wondered. Why hasn't she returned? Will they capture... why doesn't she return? He didn't notice the deer standing by a nearby tree. The deer was staring at him intently. There's the deer. I can't help Caruso now, Falari told herself. If I show myself, I will be captured too. She decided to wait until sunup. So Falari cast a magic spell and turned herself into a tree. There, unnoticed, she watched over Caruso and his captors through the long night. Foxfingers proved a better thief than a guard. He fell asleep while the moon was still high in the sky. This gave Caruso the chance to work on the gag that covered his mouth. He struggled for hours, rubbing his head against the ground until at last his mouth was freed. Caruso knew well the song a bard can sing to charm an enemy into feeling friendly. Just as the morning sun began to peek through the forest trees, Foxfingers awoke. and he was greeted by Crusoe's magical melody. The song made Fox Fingers feel warmth and friendship towards Crusoe. "Let me go quickly," Crusoe ordered. The thief obliged. Crusoe jumped to his feet. He looked around the camp for a place to hide. But there was no need to hide. Warduke and his henchmen had other matters on their minds. A horseman came riding up to the camp. "The princess and her party have entered the forest," he cried. "And how big is her protective force?" Warduke asked, strapping on his broadsword. "Only 6 men," the horseman informed him. "An army of 6 to protect the ruby of the 7 suns?" Warduke cried in astonishment. "Ha ha! We have won before we have even begun." Meanwhile, unaware of the dangers that awaited her, Princess Mara teased her handmaiden Bess inside the carriage that carried them deeper into the forest. The princess held the ruby of the ruby of the 7 suns in her small hand. "Go ahead, Bess," she urged. "Hold it." Yes, that's the ruby there. The young serving girl was too nervous to hold the priceless gem. She dropped it onto the floor of the carriage. The 2 young women scrambled around on the floor for it. "What's wrong with you, Bess? Don't be so uneasy," Princess Mara scowled. But Princess, I beg of you," Bess protested. "Return the jewel to the case. It is not a plaything. Brave warriors have been killed to keep possession of the ruby. Do not fight so you could use it. They did not fight so you could use it as a toy." "Bess, it is not your place to scold me," the princess protested. "It is my jewel after all, and what could possibly happen out here in the wilderness?" Not far away, Warduke's campground emptied as his men prepared to attack. "The princess will be here in moments," Calic cried, "and just as quickly the jewel will be mine," Warduke said gleefully. "Prepare to attack. The one to bring me the ruby will receive a special reward," Warduke cried to soldiers, but Warduke's plans were interrupted. For the tree that stood a few yards from Warduke began to change shape until it became the shape of Falari. "Falari, there you are," cried Crusoe, running out to greet her. "Yes, I am here," Falari said, tossing back her head defiantly. "I am here to stop you, Warduke." Warduke got over his surprise quickly. "You will not interfere with my plans," he cried angrily. "You and your bard companion will watch my triumph. It will be the last thing you will ever see." The evil warrior called to Calic, "Quick, a spell. Do not let this foolish druid act." Crusoe and Falari took a step back as Calic came forward. But Falari acted first. I guess she had initiative. "Stand back," she cried to Crusoe. Calic raised his arms to begin a spell, but he was too late. Falari cast a plant growth spell. Weeds sprouted from the ground, bushes flowered and bulged, plants began to grow and grow and grow. She and Crusoe watched the forest grew before their eyes. Thicker and taller the forest became until it was trapped and tangled. Warduke all of his men. They were imprisoned by the trees. All were trapped by the weeds and tall shrubs, which continued to grow until the evildoers nearly disappeared from view.
Why is still me free? Why is still growing?
Because she cast some magic spell. That's why it's growing so fast and they're covering them. "We must get out," Warduke cried, hacking away at the trees that imprisoned him, his sword not making a dent as he swung again and again. All around him, his soldiers struggled to free themselves from the twisted, tangled forest prison that had grown in seconds. The terrified cries of the soldiers drowned out Warduke's cries to action. Falari's force held them as tightly as a cage. That's right, good job. "What is up ahead?" Princess Mara called, looking out her carriage window. She called to her driver to stop. "The forest seems impassable in that spot, Your Highness," the driver called down. "Well, go around it then," the princess ordered. "I have never seen a forest grow so thick and dark."
Stop.
Dark. The carriage turned and headed off to the west. Soon it would find the path again. Soon it would carry the princess and her prize jewel to their destination. Quite an exciting trip, Bess? Mara asked with a yawn. She received no reply. Bess had fallen asleep. Ha ha, it will take them days to hack their way out, Crusoe laughed. Calic will soon get over his shock and realize that he can dispel the magic even though he was trapped by the trees, Filari warned. As we cannot spend any more time enjoying our victory, we must flee. With the angry, frightened cries of Warduke and his men in their ears, Filari bade Crusoe farewell and walked up to an oak tree and stepped inside. Crusoe took Filari's advice and ran quickly to the other side of the forest, many miles away. There all was quiet. A soft breeze rustled the leaves overhead, and a chickadee chirped its sweet song. Crusoe walked deeper into the trees, enjoying the warm air and soft fragrances. The forest is truly an enchanted place, he told himself, and he disappeared between two ancient knotted oak trees. And that is the Forest of Enchantment storybook. What do you think, Ender?
Yes.
I think you said you liked this one more. Yeah? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so comparing the two, I think I like the artwork in this first book a little bit more. I didn't realize there were different artists because, well, now I'm a little bit older and I do notice these things. However, this one definitely has more D&D related story plots, I guess. You know, they have lizardmen. You got a druid that can cast some magic and step into a tree. You got a bard that can enchant and charm with his music. So that's all pretty cool. So I'm glad I had a chance to go over these books again with my little one here. And that was story time. Once again, if you didn't see this one, I'll put a link down below for this. So if you enjoyed this, hopefully you can hit that like and share and think about subscribing, as that would help us grow to 1,000. Thank you for listening, everybody. Have a great day. Keep on adventuring out there.